Something I do with Famidaily is that when there are a bunch of games released on the same day, I try to arrange the order of episodes so I don't have similar episodes bump up right against each other. And in this case, I probably should have pushed Tiny Toon Adventures back a few days. December 20th had a lot of side-scrolling games with a bit of platforming in them, but in this case, Tiny Toon Adventures is weirdly close to yesterday's episode Azmit-kun Land. Though Tiny Toons fares a bit better because it was made by Konami. Tiny Toon Adventures was the weekday afternoon cartoon featuring kid stand-ins for the classic Looney Tunes characters. The show started airing in Japan in April of 1991, though it was broadcast there under the title Spielberg no Anime Tiny Toon. So this joins the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and DuckTales games as Famicom games which used a title that wasn't the same as the Japanese version. The plot of the game is that the show's reoccurring villain, Max Montana, has kidnapped Babs Bunny, and I'm going, really? Anyways, Buster wants to get her back, so he needs to go get keys to Max's mansion. The game itself is a platformer, and it's a bit infamous because Konami reverse-engineered Super Mario Bros. 3, disassembling the code and then turning that into Tiny Toon Adventures. That resulted in Konami's game having a lot of the same feel of Super Mario Bros. 3. The movement code for Mario and Buster is identical, right down to filling the P meter as they accelerate, even though in Tiny Toon Adventures there's no P meter to fill. In the game, A jumps and holding down B will make you run. You can defeat enemies by jumping on top of them, and if you keep holding down the jump, you'll bounce pretty high off their heads when you land on them. Before every stage, you're given the opportunity to pick one of 3 helper characters, and you can switch Buster out for one of those whenever you collect the star icon that's hidden inside a balloon. Collecting the star switches back and forth between who you're controlling, and you always start out with Buster. Buster has the ability to walk and jump, and that's it, and why would you ever use him when you have the opportunity to use someone else? Plucky is the most versatile of the 3 alternate characters. You can mash A to float slowly down after you jump, and Plucky can freely move in the water. He also gains a short-range attack that you can use in the water. Just hit B to shoot, though you have to wait for the POW meter to rebuild before you can attack again. Dizzy would be my pick of the worst of the 3 to use, except for one thing. He's the only character that can destroy blocks. If you hit the B button, he'll turn into a whirlwind that can destroy blocks and enemies. And sometimes that will let you access hidden areas, though you have to wait for that POW meter to recover before you can use the ability again. Unfortunately, Dizzy's the slowest character, has the lowest jump, and his hitbox isn't rarely represented by the sprite on screen. The places where you can stand is actually much narrower than he appears, and that makes timing jumps with him even trickier than it was. Furball has the highest jumps of any of the characters, and can cling to walls so that you can jump straight up them. It's a pretty useful ability for bypassing certain stages. There are 18 levels in Tiny Toon Adventures, and they're grouped into 6 worlds. After you complete the first 2 stages of a world, you go to a chase scene where you have to avoid this person for a little while until an exit door appears. If you touch them, then you're thrown back to the start of the world. For the bosses, on the other hand, you have to jump on their heads 3 times. So the game's a little bit inconsistent with what they expect you to do. You can collect vegetables on stages, normally carrots, but on a few levels it's something else. And the carrots can be turned in for extra lives if you accumulate enough of them. You have to locate a special door though, and the doors are sometimes hidden or kept away from you. If you're having trouble with the game, and you will because any hit will kill you, and they have a bad tendency to be unfair with the enemy placement, there are 2 cheat codes that can help you out. Enter this and you'll get a level select when you start the game, and enter this to become invincible as you play. When you do get a game over, you've got as many continues as you like to use to complete the game. I get the impression that Tiny Toon Adventures is a bit obscure in Japan. At least, I didn't find a whole lot of people talking about it, and the few that did were plugging their streams where they played the game. There were, however, quite a few more games based on the cartoon, including one more that had a Famicom release. Though the Famicom did not get Cartoon Studios, sorry. My take on the Famicom game Tiny Toon Adventures is that it's decent, but not outstanding. It is extremely difficult. You're pretty vulnerable, and the level design doesn't really channel challenges at you in a way that you can respond to. And the level design really isn't anything to get excited about. The stages wind up feeling pretty generic. However, it does control really well, probably because it's the exact same code as Mario 3. That ease of play does make it one of the better Famicom platformers, but not one I'd go back to regularly. There's plenty of games that do this better. For example, Super Mario Bros. 3.